Hello, Houston, and welcome to another Catholic Lunch Break on AM 1430 KSHJ. My name is Tim Mott. I'm the general manager of this radio station and also your host for this hour. 1 hour a week that we dedicate to nothing but everything Catholic in Houston, and this is your chance to catch up with us. My assistant, David Magallanes, running the board today. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's great to be on Catholic radio today. It's a great day.
It is a great day. As Larry Massey would say, it's always a beautiful day in Catholic radio.
I know. I steal that from him every time.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So we've got an awesome show today. I have really looked forward to this one.
You always say that every week.
Well, but this one is extra special.
All right.
You can tell because I'm repeating my words here. I don't even know where to begin with the teaser on this without giving too much away. I'll tell you this. Okay, it's a miracle story, and it involves a Catholic cardiologist. Some of you probably know him, especially if you listen to this radio station. And what else can I tell you? Oh, we're going to be talking to the guy who was healed as well.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely incredible miracle story. He was dead for like 9 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get to that, but we've got some stuff to take care of first, and we always need to start with prayer. So Let's go ahead and do our prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
So yes, COVID-19 has taken over all of our lives now, and it has basically changed the way everything in the world works, including radio. Well, not so much. Radio still, you broadcast it and people listen to it, and things are going well, I would say, for radio. A crisis like this is actually kind of a time for radio to shine because it keeps people connected and when they're separated.
Especially for the people that are at home and want to stay home and, just stay safe. Mm-hmm. They can tune into radio, especially to AM 1430, Catholic radio.
Exactly.
And you were probably going to mention this, but, they can get Mass every day.
Yes, we have the Mass at 7 a.m. every day here on the radio station. So as you're making your spiritual communions, not only can you watch your parish's live stream on Sundays, but you can listen to the Mass from EWTN's chapel every morning at 7 a.m. here on the radio station, and that is one way that we are helping keep you connected to the life of the Church. So just a few items of business to take care of before we jump into our miracle story for today. The Share-a-thon is coming up. The Share-a-thon, we have begun the recruiting for the Share-a-thon. We've begun the promoting for the Share-a-thon. It's going to be June 9th through 12th. Now, if you are a regular listener to this radio station, you know we are 100% listener supported. And 4 times a year, we do these Share-a-thons. And this is where most of our budget comes from. Practically all of our budget comes from these. And so we cannot stop them. And we did the spring Share-a-thon as usual. But we were not able to have volunteers.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this time it's going to be we're going to try.
We're going to try and get some volunteers back in the studio. So I know a lot of you are kind of like, yes, Share-a-thon. That's the thing that I love doing every semester, every quarter, and coming to the station and helping to answer the phones and hanging out with awesome Catholics. Now, it's not going to be the huge party atmosphere like we usually have here. But you can still, if you are interested in this, get your name on the list, and we're going to come up with the best way to have people in the studio helping with the Share-a-thon, and we're still going to have a great time.
We'll have a great time. I'll still bring in all the food as well, so we'll feed you.
I know you've been working on that.
I know, so don't worry about the food. I'll take care of all the food, and we'll have snacks, drinks, all that good stuff. And I think Tim and I think we figured out a way to get a few people in, right?
Yeah. So go ahead and get your name on the list by emailing david@grnonline.com. Now, the details. Share-a-thon is going to be June 9th here in Houston. That's when Houston hosts the call center. The Share-a-thon's Tuesday through Friday, but each market takes a different turn,
right.
Hosting the call center. So on June 9th, that's a Tuesday, we're going to be answering phone calls from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Right.
And you can help. And the way that you get your name on that list is by emailing David at grnonline.com.
And I already have a few, so please email me or give me a call. So do that, and I'll add you to the list. I'll get more details to you, and we'll figure out a time slot for
and then
you.
we'll come up with the schedule and make sure that everyone gets a chance to come in. And I have been missing shaking people's hands. Like even when I get to see people, like we've got a few observers in the studio today.
I know, that's awkward.
But I don't get to shake hands anymore.
I know.
It's not fair.
I know.
Anyway, okay. So that's Share-a-thon. Now, June 9th, email David at grnonline.com. If you need the station's phone number because you don't have email, that's okay. Call us, 832-786-4500. One more time, 832-786-4500. Okay, second thing, prayer breakfasts. We do a Catholic radio prayer breakfast series. It's for networking, especially designed for Catholic professionals, Catholic business owners, but really anyone can come. And we have lots of people who aren't in business or even in the workforce who do come and enjoy it greatly. And we do these at locations all over town. Now, we've had to put these on hiatus for now. Our current plan is to get them back up and running around August, and I think it's going to be a special one that we can do in August. I'm working on that right now. It's not finalized, so I'm not going to tell you the
You can't, no hints?
No,
Right.
I can't. August is the only hint I can give you.
Okay.
So if you are interested in going to that, get on our mailing list, because that is the way that I update everyone. You can get on our mailing list at grnonline.com. Great new website design you can check out while you're there. It's super easy to use. Just go to connect and email list. It's really obvious how to do it. But the prayer breakfasts they are not going away permanently. They are coming back, and we're shooting for August. Okay? Third announcement.
Okay.
The Fishers of Men. Fishers of
yes.
Men is our biggest single-day fundraiser that we do for KSHJ each year. It's a big gala benefit dinner. We do it at the Junior League down here in Houston, and it's scheduled for November 10th. Now, November's far enough out there, and it's in the fall, so I'm hoping that we will be able to, have it at capacity this time. It gets kind of crowded in there. Hopefully we won't have to thin it out too much in November, but don't know how things are going to go.
Right.
So if things are going to change, then also get on that email list at grnonline.com, and you will be the first to know about that. But currently, the Fishers of Men Dinner is scheduled for November 10th. If you are interested in helping out with it or attending it, you can email us, David at grnonline.com, or get on our email list.
Yep, and we do need volunteers for that as well. So we appreciate all the help, all the listeners. We thank you for all your support and help. And can we mention who is going to be honored, or do you want to?
No, that's the thing I want to do. I want to let it out of the bag. This is the teaser that I will give you, because this deserves so much fanfare. We give out an award every year for the Fishers of Men to someone who really is promoting the causes of evangelization, pro-life, vocations, and strengthening families, the four promises that the Guadalupe Radio Network is founded upon. And the person this year is so deserving. It's the Guadalupe Radio Network's 20th anniversary, and I really wanted to do something special. So I'm going to make a big announcement right now. The winner of this, or the recipient, I should say, of this year's Fishers of Men Award is going to be Larry Massey, the president of the Scanlon Foundation. It is his year. It is about time. We've been wanting to honor him for a long time, and I think this is going to be the year to do it. So you heard it here first. November 10th.
And Larry's probably listening right now. So,
I hope so. Hey, Larry.
Hello, Larry. So, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you again. And you're a big part of the radio station.
He's done so much for so many Catholic ministries across Houston. He's the biggest booster of so many Catholic ministries, and he's got a heart that is on fire for Jesus. I have seen it come alight. He is the one who is really boosting the Holy League that we do for men. He's on the board at UST. He's the president of Scanlon Foundation, the owner of Holy Bears. He supports the Dominicans. He supports the high schools. He supports so many things through his activities. and his wonderful, wonderful faith. So, Larry, you're a good friend, and I really appreciate you. I'm so pleased to give you this award.
Yes.
Announcing it maybe a little early, but I want to get people excited about it. So just to know our Fishers of Men is still, at this moment, planning to happen. Okay, a couple other things that are coming up right now. These are much more immediate. The Diaper Drive for Catholic Charities. The month of May is the month dedicated to honor our Blessed Mother Mary. And so we figured that, the best way that you can honor Mary is to really help mothers in need. So Catholic Charities has a program called Blessed Beginnings, where mothers and parents who are in need can come and get supplies that they need to be able to keep their babies dry. Now, imagine that you've lost your income from COVID-19. You're not able to make ends meet to begin with. But you've got kids and you still need to keep them in diapers. How are you going to do that? Well, Catholic Charities is helping. And so what they need right now, or you listener right now, to donate diapers during the month of May, which is the month of Mary. Now, there's 3 ways you can do that. They're all listed at CatholicCharities.org/diaperdrive, CatholicCharities.org/diaperdrive. And the 3 ways are: you can drop off diapers at either of their 2 locations, the one on Fannin Street at the San Jose Clinic or the one in Richmond at the Mamie George Center. The addresses are on the website, CatholicCharities.org/diaperdrive. You can also, if you don't want to go out, you can order direct from Amazon and have them shipped directly to Catholic Charities. There is a wish list linked up there that you can go and get exactly what they need. Or if you really just want to donate and make them go buy the diapers, well, they can do that. But you can turn your cash into diapers. I believe it's, I'm going off the top of my head here, but I think $25 will keep a baby dry for 2 weeks, and $600 can keep a baby dry for a year.
That's good.
$600 is a lot of money. Yeah. So,
but it's a great thing that you're doing, though.
Well, and if there's another thing I just got word of today, in addition to the Catholic Charities Diaper Drive, the Prince of Peace is doing one as well. So if you can't make it downtown to Fannin Street, or if you can't get to Richmond for Mamie George, you can maybe go up to Northwest Houston for Prince of Peace. They are doing a more limited one this week. I believe they're going to do the diaper drive for them, and food drive as well, combo. Tomorrow was when they're trying to get all the donations in, and they're going to be doing a big distribution of it the following week. Those details for Prince of Peace are at pophouston.org, and just look for the COVID-19 news updates, pophouston.org.
Yep. And Tim, you were telling me, I guess this past week, something kind of cool happened at your house, right? So something finished?
Yes, we finished school.
Did you survive?
Barely, trying to do regular school with a 2nd grader and an 8th grader through online classes where they both need the computer, and neither of them are enjoying it. And I'm trying to work from home at the same time that I'm trying to teach from home. It was terrible, but I'm so glad that they finally finished their classes. And how about you? Are your kids done?
No, we still have 2 more weeks. I think they're going to take their books back this week, so I don't know how the last week is going to work out. I don't know. Without books, I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah.
It's all on you, Dad.
Yeah, I know. No, actually, my wife. I mean, she's been a great trooper in this, and man, it's for all the parents out there, for all the parents that are doing and going through all this, God bless you.
Well, so, I think about the high school seniors right now who are having to deal with this. Like, I don't have a kid at the high school level, but you look forward to so many events at the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah. I wish there was some way we could really honor those kids.
Wow, what a great segue. So what we were thinking of doing. So what I want to do is, I want to, listeners, parents, if you have a high school senior, even a college senior that's graduating this year, it's been a unique experience for these guys, and we thought we could do something special. Email me, give me your son or daughter's name and information, and what are they going to do after school or after high school or college. We can announce that on the air, and we'll do it on...
Like doing a roll call?
Kind of a roll call. Maybe if we get a lot, maybe we'll do it over 2 shows, maybe. But it's just one way for us to recognize the seniors. I really like our 10 Catholic high schools that we have in the Archdiocese here. And it's something that I want to do and kind of something special for them. I know some of the graduations are going to be a little funky and, I don't know what exactly it's going to be happening, but here on our station on AM 1430, this is something that we can do for you.
I'd like to do that. So how again, can they get a hold of you?
Send me an email at david@grnonline.com. Just send me some information about your son and daughter.
So you want name, school, and what they're going to do afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep it like that.
There you go.
And, I want to do this every year. So this is our first year to do it. I'm excited to do this for you, and I'm excited for all the seniors that are graduating.
Well, I love your heart, David. I really love it. David at grnonline.com.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Okay, great. So email David your high school seniors graduating information
and college
and college, and we'll read them on the air. Okay, so with that, I think we got all our announcements out of the way, and now we can really get to the miracle story I was telling you about. After this break, we're going to be talking to Dr. Gerard Abreu from Southeast Houston Cardiology and Jim Hackney, who was dead for 9 days.
Wow.
And is now alive.
Wow.
Coming back right after this.
Hello, Guadalupe family. This is Toya Hall, Vice President of the Guadalupe Radio Network. With deep appreciation for your support, you and your loved ones will be remembered in our novena and masses this Easter. We know these are difficult times, but we can trust in our Heavenly Father that He will see us through. Have hope and joy, for the joy of the Lord is our strength, and may all the blessings of the risen Christ be yours this Easter and throughout the year.
Southeast Houston Cardiology is a proud sponsor of your Catholic radio station, and the doctor is in. Southeast Houston Cardiology has been serving patients with heart disease and vascular disease with up-to-date, compassionate, and comprehensive care for more than 20 years. Southeast Houston Cardiology has 2 locations, Webster and Pasadena. You can contact them online at southeasthoustancardiology.com or 281-338-4004.
This year, more than ever, many families are struggling to buy enough diapers to keep their babies clean and dry. All during May, honor our Blessed Mother Mary and all mothers by donating to the KSHJ AM 1430 Drive for Diapers for Catholic Charities. Diapers will be distributed to low-income parents by Blessed Beginnings Life Center. Donate boxes of diapers in person or through an online shopping list, or make a financial gift. Visit CatholicCharities.org/diaperdrive.
Have you seen it yet? Hi, Joe McLean here. I'm talking about the brand new GRNonline.com website. It is really cool, and I can't wait for you to see this. Just visit GRNonline.com. Make sure you say yes to knowing your location. I'll tell you why. Because when you do, it will automatically deliver to you your local station, your local events, your local contact information, and more. Again, grnonline.com.
You're listening to the Catholic Lunch Break on AM 1430, where we catch up on everything Catholic in Houston. My name is Tim Mott, your host, joined by David Magallanes, and now joining us by phone are Dr. Gerard Abreu, cardiologist, and Jim Hackney, recently retired. Dr. Abreu, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tim. It's an honor to be online.
And Jim, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. You sound great. Where are you calling from?
Just north of Sonora, Texas.
Just north of Sonora, Texas. But you are a native Houstonian here, so we are happy to welcome you to the Catholic Lunch Break, where we talk about everything Catholic in Houston. Let's do some introductions here. I've already teased the audience. They know the ending of the story. Like, Jim, you suffered a heart attack and you have been miraculously healed. But we're going to get all those juicy details. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we know who you guys are. So, Dr. Abreu, you're a cardiologist, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me a little bit about your Catholic upbringing?
Yes, so I grew up in this southern city in India called Bangalore, and my mom and dad were Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. And I came to America in 1992, did my residency at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. And then I moved to UTMB Galveston, where I did my cardiology fellowship, and I stayed on there as a faculty for 1 year as assistant professor. And then I started my private practice with my partner David Hamer in June of 1999 here in Houston, in Pasadena and Clear Lake. And at that time, we had 3 employees and 2 of us. And now we are 7 cardiologists and 47 employees. And here we are today with God's blessing.
Yeah, it seems like God really has blessed your ministry. Are you able, as a doctor, to kind of live out your faith on the job?
Absolutely, and that's been one of my blessings. God has blessed me with the grace of going for daily Mass, and our Good News of Perpetual Adoration Chapel opened a week ago. But all this also goes to the prayers of my wife, Nicole, and my 9 beautiful children.
9 children.
And, all this.
That's how we know you're Catholic.
To practice the faith, both in and out of the hospital and the clinic, Sunday to Sunday.
Okay, great. Now, your office is down in Webster, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's your specialty as far as cardiology goes?
Yeah, I am a non-invasive cardiologist. So, non-invasive cardiologist doesn't do the interventions. They do not do the pacemakers. My field of expertise is a procedure called transesophageal echocardiography, where I make the patient swallow a tube that has a camera at the end of the tube. It goes behind the heart and take pictures of the heart valves and the heart to make sure there's no blood clots. So that's my field of expertise.
Okay.
But other than that, I see patients Monday to Friday in the office mainly as a consultant, and that's what I am.
Okay, great. Okay, so now, Jim, let's introduce you. You're calling us from a ranch north of Sonora, Texas, but you have lived in Houston for how long?
Let's see, we moved there in 97, so I guess that's, we'll be approaching 23 years in Houston.
Great.
I moved there from Corpus Christi, where we lived about 1.5 years, and before that, we were in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay, so now kind of describe your life for me before your heart attack. What was it? Were you fairly active, or what kind of job did you do?
Yeah. So that's interesting. I'm a chemical engineer and working for a petrochemical company, and I'm very active. Play a lot of tennis. Mm-hmm. And exercise and do some running, not a lot, but some. So I was, I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have high cholesterol or anything like that. I did have a bout with something called pericarditis, which is a inflammation of the heart lining several years ago, about 10 years ago or so. So I had a cardiologist that was not Dr. Abreu that I would go to about every year or so just for a checkup. And the only abnormality you might say is I have a low heart rate. So my heart rate is normally around 50. Sometimes
it's pretty low.
Sometimes it gets in well into the 40s. So. But that's my only, I guess, heart thing that seemed to be going on. Okay,
so this kind of came out of the blue a little bit. You weren't really prepared for it. But so you're not Catholic, and for full disclosure to our audience, you're a Baptist, right?
Correct.
And
I was raised Baptist, and I now attend St. Bernadette Catholic Church as well as Clear Lake Presbyterian Church.
Along with your wife.
Yes, along with my wife and 2 boys who are both in their 20s. Yes. Okay. My wife is Catholic.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that's why you're going to St. Bernadette's now.
That's right.
A great church, by the way. I love St. Bernadette's. Now, Dr. Abreu, what was the state of Jim when he arrived at your office?
Sure. So April 2nd, Jim was playing tennis.
April 2nd of last year?
2019.
2019. Okay.
Yeah. So, Jim, can you tell them what happened?
So it's interesting because my memory of that is not so great. We had come back from a trip to Europe. It was a pleasure plus business trip. And we were playing tennis in the evening, and I felt like I had a heartburn, and it did not go away, and it was rather painful. So uncharacteristic of me, I eventually said after a while, I said, I really don't want to play anymore. So I'm just going to go sit down on the side of the court. And so what I'm told is that they were starting to pay for the court or get money together to pay for the court, and they looked over at me, and I was my wife says I was slack mouthed, and then they went over to me to move me, and blood came out of my mouth. I was unconscious at the time.
There
Yikes.
you go. Okay, so I can take it from here.
Go for it.
So CPR was started, EMS arrived. They had to shock the heart as it was in a dangerous arrhythmia called ventricular fibrillation, where the heart completely and suddenly ceases to pump. So Jim was brought to the ER maybe about 15 minutes later, and the EKG showed he was having a large heart attack affecting the front of the heart, and the blood test revealed he was in kidney and liver failure. But the main problem was that the brain was not responding even to a gag reflex, which suggested early possible brain cell damage.
Wow. So the brain damage was happening that quickly.
Yes. So my associate, Dr. Shabani, who is in my group, the interventional cardiologist, was called in, and we decided to take Jim directly to the cath lab, where an angiogram showed that his left anterior descending artery, that is the main artery to the left of the heart, was 100% occluded because of a plaque rupture and subsequent blood clot formation. So this blockage was successfully opened with a stent. The blood flow was restored to the heart muscle, and Jim was then taken to the intensive care unit with a very low blood pressure, and his heart muscle was pumping only 15%. A normal heart pumps 55%. And requiring several life-saving intravenous drips. Jim's chest X-ray also showed he had a fractured rib, a punctured lung from the CPR, no offense to the guys who did a great job, and aspiration pneumonia that further complicated the issue. So Jim was in the ICU, in the CCU, and all of a sudden he had a seizure. Now, this is a dangerous sign. The seizure tells us that the brain is not functioning again. There's less oxygen that goes through. And this was the most critical moment. The family was notified that there was nothing else medical science could do.
Wow. So this all happened on April 2nd.
Yes, sir.
And so the state of the situation is that his heart was 100%, one of his arteries was 100% blocked, but you were able to open that up. But the real problem was his brain that seems to have suffered severe damage very early, and then the seizure that shows that his brain was really non-functional.
Right.
Okay, so from there, on April 2nd, what happens?
Yeah, then this started 8 long days of critical sickness, during which Jim wouldn't wake up. Even though we were able to maintain his blood pressure, his heart rate with life-saving drugs, his oxygen saturation used to drop, and we had to restart the sedation. And with every day, we had all the specialists on board, intensive care, pulmonary, kidney, liver, neurologists, infectious disease, hospitalists, and of course, yours truly, the cardiologist.
Wow.
So we did daily blood test, EEG, CT scan, MRI of the brain, but Jim was not waking up. The neurologist was definitive that there was brain injury, the extent of which we could not tell, and it had only to take time before this thing came out. Then on day 9, Jim woke up.
Okay, whoa. He just woke up. He just woke up from nothing.
There you go. Jim woke up. On day 13, he walked out of the hospital. Okay, and then on April 2nd of this year, he texts me, Dr. Abreu, it's been 1 year since my heart attack. Thank you for physically and spiritually saving my life. Thanks to Dr. Shabani for doing the text, for doing the stent. And then a few days later, I get this call from Tim Mart, asking us to be willing to be on the show, and here we are.
Yes. I am the least in this chain. So I think you skipped a little step there because in between the time that he was completely non-responsive in ICU with brain failure, liver failure, everything failure, to the time that he walked out of that hospital, there was some prayers that were said. Can you tell me what the family did, what Jim's wife did?
So during this time, Tim, I was blessed to witness and also join in the continuous prayers inside and outside the hospital. I felt this was like a constant appeal to God with a lot of tears of pain and sorrow. And when I look back, there were a lot of prayer chains that were going on. There was rosaries being said in the waiting room. There was a Divine Mercy Chaplet being prayed in the hospital room. Last week we had Mass, a daily Mass, when it says that St. Paul was stoned and was presumed dead and dragged out of the city. And then the disciples gathered around him, and then he woke up. So when I reflected on this in praying before the Blessed Sacrament, I felt that this was what happened. The continuous prayers of the prayer warriors, beginning with his wife Claire, and all the prayers that started, that resulted in making us physicians make the right decision. So what I would do, I would every day come and put a blessed crucifix that I carry in my pocket and say one Our Father, one Hail Mary, and one Glory Be. And then on day 8, I forgot to say that, and I walked out of the room. I was ordered back into the room by his wife. He said, Dr. Abreu, you did not do the crucifix thing. You got to do it.
Yes. So Claire says you have to do that crucifix thing.
Yeah, the crucifix thing. These Catholics, they're crazy, So I put the crucifix in. I started my Our Father and a Hail Mary. As I was halfway through, the wife and the brother, they just broke down and cried. And I had tears coming in from my eyes. And I felt a big knock of my hand on his head. I can't tell you what it was. It felt like a jerk. Now, I looked up the screen to make sure this was not a seizure. His blood pressure was fine. The heart rate was fine. So I'm not sure what it was, but I slowly walked out of the room. And the next day, around 6:30 in the morning, coming into round in the intensive care unit, I asked the nurse, hey, how's Mr. Hackney doing? And he said, he's doing great. And I said, excuse me, I think you got the wrong patient. He said, no, Dr. Abreu, Mr. Hackney is alert, responding to commands, and doing great. So I hurried into the room, and I examined Mr. Hackney and found, yes, he was alert and awake, ready to take out the tube from his breathing tube from the ventilator. And I informed Claire and her sister, who's a radiologist, of what happened the previous day when I placed the crucifix, and I left it at that. And then Jim Hackney was taken off the ventilator. His kidney function came back to normal. His liver function came back to normal. The neurologist, my good friend Dr. Nancy Robinson, was pretty sure that he's going to have some cognitive decline. That's what she said, cognitive decline.
Cognitive decline.
The brain cannot think of these things, of the important things. But I told Dr. Robinson the following day, guess what? Jim Hackney is doing his taxes on the computer.
He's doing his taxes in ICU?
There you go.
Jim, do you remember this?
You can take it from here. What do you think?
Do you remember this, Jim? Doing your taxes in ICU?
Yes. Well, I remember working on it because I was worried because it was around tax time. Right?
Sorry, IRS. I had a heart attack. Can I have an extension? I was dead, but no, death and taxes. Yeah. They're unavoidable.
I was actually out of ICU when I was working on taxes and paying bills and things like that.
Okay, but you were still in the hospital.
I was still in the hospital.
That's incredible. I actually had a question. I'm a little curious about this because before you had this heart attack, you were Baptist and Claire was Catholic. I'm curious as to how your prayer life was. Did you guys pray separately together? Would it be unusual for her to pray a Hail Mary over you? I mean, what was that like?
Well, yes, we do have a prayer life. We we do pray together around meals and other occasions. I tend not to do a Hail Mary, but we do Divine Mercy chaplets together, and a lot of that. So yes, we have a prayer life together. Yes.
Okay, so when she's praying over you, that's not something that you would have been averse to had you been awake.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, that's good.
And in fact, I really appreciate all of the prayers. I mean, the community came together amazingly in prayer and supplication for this event, and I'm still, convinced totally that the community's prayers together was the reason for the miracle.
Now we don't have
Jim, one more thing, Jim. Let me interject right there. One special ecumenical moment happened soon after Jim woke up, when I went to check him for his chest pain he was having from the chest tube. But Jim was not willing to talk about that. He was telling me about these Legos. Jen, can you tell them about that? What happened?
Oh yeah. So. My wife says there's several Dr. Abreu miracles, but so I was having trouble sleeping. In my mind, when I would try to sleep, was visions. It's really hard to describe, but if you're thinking about looking at a small world of like Lego-sized people on motorcycles and cars and just running around continuously with amazing activity and very, very fast, would enter my mind, and I was having a lot of trouble sleeping while in the hospital with this going on. And so, it was kind of dragging me down a little bit. So with Dr. Abreu came in and my wife was there, and so I told him about it because I had complained to my wife about it. He said, well, he can tell more about what he said about. He said the demons are trying to get at you here, and he said, pray, go away in the name of Jesus. And so he left the room, and I did pray that, and they never came back.
Then I came back and gave him a rosary, which was a blessed rosary made by Mother Teresa's Missionaries of Charity in Calcutta. A student of mine gave me that. So here is a Catholic giving a Baptist a rosary. And Jim held that rosary.
Awesome.
Jim held that rosary till today, and his wife says, at times I felt the rosary was more important than me. So that is a special moment of ecumenical dialogue that is important, that I will never forget.
Yes. See, that's
You also gave me the holy water in the medicine bottle. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Holy water in a medicine bottle. You got to tell me about this. Yeah,
so the nurse wouldn't throw it out, So I was, when I was examining Jim to make sure the chest tube was to come out, he was telling me about these visions, and he was very, very, very afraid. I could sense that in his demeanor, and that's why I had to bring out these spiritual warfare weapons. And guess what? It worked.
And now, Dr. Abreu, how did you know to use the spiritual warfare? Because you're the cardiologist, you are you're medically trained. You're battling the physical injuries that he has received. How did you know that spiritual warfare was involved too?
Well, being a cardiologist now for 25 years, we deal with life and death situations every day, and I have been more attuned and I guess graced by God to be aware of what's going on. And when it comes to the near death of the patient, I've seen this battle rage. And the only way, you cannot give medicines for this. You cannot sedate the patient anymore. This is when the time comes when the patient is being either going to see God for judgment or on the ventilator, almost the blood pressure is dropping. I've seen this happen all the time. So when I talked to my spiritual director about all this, these are the advice they give me. This is the time when the battle rages, and as a Catholic cardiologist, you have to help the patient. And several times I've helped them. Glory be to God, who gave me the grace to figure out that something's going on. And I can tell you, especially when the Blessed Sacrament comes into the ICU with the priest, or the name of the Hail Mary is invoked, this is a game changer. When Mary comes in, the game's over. The evil one has to leave.
Absolutely, the terror of demons. Now, do you get any kind of pushback from your medical colleagues about your spirituality?
So far, no. As I said, when I started this practice, we were 2 of us, and now we are 7 and 47 employees. So I guess they think that this guy is a little weird, has 9 kids, is Catholic, he goes for Mass daily. He prays over his patients, but he's a good cardiologist.
Well, that's, you got to be a good witness, and to do that, you have to be excellent in your profession. Jim, how has this changed your outlook on life? Like, what do you feel? How do you feel different from before to now?
Okay, that's a good question. Because I spiritual before, and as I said, raised in the church and continued a church life throughout my life. So I guess for me, one of the things that has struck me is I realized I don't have a fear of death. I do have a fear of pain and suffering, but I don't have a fear of death at all. Secondly, one of the things I pray about is, God, show me, please, why I'm still here, what I'm supposed to be doing. And at this point, I'm convinced that helping my wife in some of her ministries and some of the things that she's done, even post heart attack and recovery, is something that I'm supposed to be doing.
That makes a lot of sense. And it should be a question that each of us is asking. What does God have for us? You have been given a gift in that it is more acute for you. It's like pointing you to exactly what you need. That actually reminds me of a story that Dr. Abreu said about your wife. Dr. Abreu, maybe you can tell it better than I can, but there was a pastor who was praying over Jim,
Yes.
A non-Catholic pastor?
Yes, so he came into the room and started praying, and he said, God, whatever you want for Jim, let your will be done. And his wife said, stop. I don't want that kind of prayer. I want what's best for me, Claire. I want Jim to come back. So the pastor said he had to, this never in his life has someone stopped and asked him to change his prayer. But he changed his prayer. He said, God, bring back Jim to life for Claire. Do what's important for Claire and her sons. And he tells us at the celebration of the community that they had a couple of months later, during which I spoke and the pastor spoke, the pastor said, 2 days later, when they called him and said Jim was alive, he knelt down and began to cry. So that is the power of these prayer warriors. As I said, the disciples gathered around with the prayer chains, and the prayer recreates it. I believe in this case, it changed the mind of God. And here we are today discussing this miracle.
Well,
also, one thing I must suggest before I forget, after all this happened, the rehabilitation doctor came and shook his head and told me it's going to be 8 weeks before this guy can walk. And in 3 days, Jim was walking, and his wife sent me a video of this walk, and I sent that video to my interventional cardiologist, Dr. Shibani, who is a Jordanian Muslim, and he exclaimed, Lazarus of Clear Lake Regional Hospital.
The Lazarus of Clear Lake Regional Hospital. Jim, that's your new name.
Nice.
No, when you were in rehab, what was the reaction of the...
Rehab. He went home. There was no rehab. He went home.
Oh, there was no rehab. Oh, because the rehab doctor was saying it would take 8 weeks to walk, but you did it in 3 days, so you didn't go to rehab.
Yes, sir.
Right. So the physical therapist or whatever came in and said, he said, you need to get up and walk. and you need to do as much of that as you can. Of course, I was extremely weak to begin with, and but anyway, I was determined to do more and more, and to do what he said. So in the end, he came by and said, "Okay, here's the criteria that you have to surpass in order not to be in the hospital doing rehabilitation." And so one of those was walking, I don't know, 200 feet, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I walked up and down. He said, "Show me you're walking." And I walked up and down the hall slowly, but walked up and down the hall, no assistance. I don't know, 400 feet or more. And then he said, "Can you climb stairs?" And so I climbed upstairs, up one stairs and down, and in the end, he said, "I can't keep you in the hospital to do rehab." He said, "You just do it at home."
That's incredible. Like just days earlier, the neurologist was saying that your brain was severely damaged and your liver had failed. Yes. And
yes.
It's just incredible what God does. Now, I do find it interesting. If you were imagining a miracle just out of nowhere from scratch, you might say, "Oh, God snapped his fingers and the next instant you were 100%. But yeah, it wasn't how it happened. They prayed over you, and then overnight you woke up, and then 3 days later you were able to leave the hospital, but you were weak and you had to work up to it. Now, it was still miraculous, but it wasn't the instantaneous thing. Why do you think God would do that and not like a flash and poof, you're teleported back home?
Well, I can't say what's in the mind of God there, but I can say that for me to go through that and work at getting stronger with each day, and my wife walking with me, and is a good experience. It was fulfilling experience for me. It helped me, in my determination. One of the things in all of this, I must say, is that I was unconscious, for 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and I don't remember very much about the event, or even a couple of days before the event, and all that. So in all of this thing that affected the community so much, and the miracle, I was passive. God let me go through this without very much pain and suffering. I was not aware, for instance, that I had kidney failure or any of that. All of that was done by the time I woke up, and God spared me from that, and I appreciate that. But then, we still have to struggle. We still have to work at things, and so that's what I did. I worked at my rehab.
That's great. Okay, so that actually leads us into what happened afterwards. Claire, when I had a conversation with you and Claire outside Dr. Abreu's office, you were telling me about the incredible impact that this had on your community, not only through the prayer chain, but in other ways as well. And then they got together to throw a celebration, and it was going to be a celebration of your life, but they changed it to a celebration of community. Can you tell me how that went down?
Yeah. So one of the things, because they were convinced I was essentially dead, that I wouldn't be coming back, that I would not survive this. My children were called in to say goodbye to me. My brother, who had never flown, flew down to say goodbye to me, and so they were planning to have, as you said, a celebration of life, for my funeral and stuff. But so we said, let's make it into a celebration of the community because of all the prayers that were given for this and lifted up to God. So my wife, who, God's put stuff on her heart, and that's what she does. And she runs through it with it. And so she got a friend at Lutheran South Academy for a place. We had speakers. Dr. Arbro was one of the speakers. And it was just an amazing, all these people getting together. And so we invited everyone on. Claire started a prayer chain, so everybody was invited there. And so it got bigger. We were expecting maybe 50 people to attend, and so they set up 50 chairs, and during the whole thing, they were continually bringing in chairs for people to sit down. There must have been about 200 or 300 people attended this celebration of community and celebration of God.
That's incredible. So you were expecting like 50, and then 200 showed up. It
was an amazing moment for me, Tim. I've never been to a talk like this. I agreed because Claire wouldn't take no for an answer. So I agreed to give the talk. And I told my wife, I've never given a talk like this. She said, well, first time. So I did it. And I saw so many non-Catholic, Catholic community together. It was amazing. Also, there's one story, Jim, one of their friends who's a tennis player, she is a non-believer. And her daughter and son-in-law would not let her come and see the children, her grandchildren, because she was a non-believer. But once she saw what happened to Jim, she told me, now I believe. And now I believe. I've called my daughter. I've told her I believe because I've seen what happened. And now hopefully she's talking to her grandchildren and everything is back to normal. But that's one of the stories that came out of this.
That is the most brilliant thing about a miracle like this, is that the purpose of it is not to glorify the cardiologist, because you did not save him with medical technology. It's not to say anything special about Jim, though I'm sure every one of us is special, Jim, and that's okay. But it's to give glory to God. It's the ripple effects of the witness that was shown to so many people, and the way that other people turned to God because of this. And just the fact that God takes over when we have no other recourse. This is all to give glory to God, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Amen.
Also, one more thing. In the last part of my talk, I had to say something about Jim's amazing wife. So this is what I said. I said on April 2nd, 2019, without any warning, a Category 5 hurricane struck the Hackney family. Most of us would run to God and tell him how big the storm was, but the amazing Claire Hackney, she told the storm how big her God was. And that is why we are here today, to celebrate this healing of this amazing man, Jim Hackney.
Hello, Dr. Abreu. This is David, and I'm fascinated that what you used was a crucifix and your three prayers. Can you tell me the details about that? Did you physically touch his head?
What happened? About 15 or 20 years ago, there was this patient with a large ovarian tumor the size of a football that came out, and she was my patient. And I checked her out before the surgery, and soon after that, she was having a large heart attack. It's impossible, because I checked her out the previous week. And when I went to talk to her and say, you're having a large heart attack just like Jim's, but we could not do anything because she just had major surgery. And she said, Dr. Abreu, give me some hope. I said, there's no hope. Am I going to die? Yes, you're going to die. Pray for me. I don't know how to pray. So that's when I prayed, one Our Father, one Hail Mary, and one Glory Be. That's all I pray. And then I got the blessed crucifix from my spiritual director. So that's a prayer I pray always when my patients ask me to pray for them. One Our Father, one Hail Mary, and one Glory Be.
And you keep that crucifix in your pocket at all times?
Yes, at all times, yes.
Just in case.
It's very interesting because just a few months ago, one of the NASA scientists, he came to see me, and he said his mother-in-law recommended him. This guy is a rocket scientist. So before I left the room, he said, my mother-in-law said that you have something special in your pocket. So I had to pull out the crucifix and pray over this NASA astronaut. That was a good moment for me.
It's not the that just shows that it's not the complexity or the sophistication of our prayers. It's a very simple prayer that you said, not even your words. It's words that you've memorized, but it's the boldness. It's the simple trust in God, letting go of our own power and trusting in God, which is what happened, and God responded. And I love Claire's boldness in that she said, "I'm not asking for what's best for Jim. I'm asking for what's best for me." It's a selfish prayer, but God answered it. And God knows what's best for the community as well, and what will bring the most glory to His name. And so, Dr. Gerard Abreu and Jim Hackney, thank you very much for joining us on the Catholic Lunch Break.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tim.
This has been absolutely amazing, and I want to talk to you. I want to keep up with you guys. So stay in touch. We're about out of time for today, but Dr. Abreu, how many miracles would you say you've witnessed over your career?
Oh, plenty. I can't count them, and I can't count them. Many. Not as dramatic as Jim. There may be about 5 or 6 I've seen like Jim's miracle, but I think every day there's a miracle. So I would say the reason I don't count them is that because whatever you do is Jesus Christ that heals, and everything that we do should be for the glory and honor of God. So to God be all the glory. And I think as physicians, we just step back, let Him do the job, and then go back to your chapel and pray and say, "Thank you, Jesus." And to answer your question, I've seen this every day.
Every day. If you have eyes to see it.
There you go. Absolutely.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. So, Jim, what are you up to nowadays?
Well, I went back to work back in the last day of July. I was back at work, and now I decided after the event to go ahead and retire. So I'm retiring August 1st from LyondellBasell, and so then there's another phase of my life that's coming up, and that's what I'll be doing during retirement.
And so I think God has prepared you. Yeah, He's prepared you well for this.
I think so. He does. Obviously, He does great work.
Well, in the Bible, when people go through a big life change, they usually get a new name, and I think your new name is Lazarus. So, again, thank you very much for joining us from Sonora, Texas, and Dr. Abreu from Southeast Houston Cardiology. That'll do it for another episode of the Catholic Lunch Break, and I have really enjoyed this, and you can catch this on our Facebook group. If you want to hear the story again, go to facebook.com/GRN online and look for the GRN Houston Facebook group, or just go to the live videos. You'll find it there. And you can share it with your friends. This amazing story that's going to help turn people towards God. So facebook.com/GRN online, and check out our new website, grnonline.com, and there are many, many ways that you can connect with us there. My name is Tim Mott, and I want you to stay tuned for Dr. David Anders coming up next on AM 1430 with Call to Communion, a program that answers the tough questions that are keeping people from the Catholic Church. So that's what we're here. That's what we're about on AM 1430. It's been a great show with David Magallanes and all our observers here in the studio. May you go and God go with you, and take Jesus with you wherever you go today.